Hello and thanks for joining us on 𝐊𝐶 TV. James Preston with you live from Sydney, and this is the Stocks in Action show. A show where we bring you buzzing stocks under the spotlight, defining market performance for the day itself. In this program today, we'll be looking at recent updates from the ASX listed companies, their stock movements, along with a glance at developments across the equity and commodity markets. Let's start with zooming our lens on the ASX 200 performance. On the first day of the week, the ASX 200 opened higher as Wall Street indices registered record closing highs. The top positions in the index were held by miners and energy players. BHP, Rio Tinto and Fortescue traded higher, and an uptick in oil prices supported energy stocks in today's session. Viva Energy Group remained among the market's top performers, up about 5%, while Pilbara Minerals traded up by around 3%. Turning our attention now to some ASX-listed stocks, and shares of Australia's leading healthcare company, Healius, soared on the back of acquiring Axis Diagnostic. Axis is a high-quality Queensland-based imaging business with earnings of approximately $2 million. The firm has 3 radiology practices located in Brisbane and 1 practice in the Whitsundays. The company also shared that it's rebranding its diagnostic imaging division, Healthcare Imaging Services, and all of its sub-brands as Lumus Imaging. The rebrand will begin with 7 sites across New South Wales and the ACT, transitioning to Lumus Imaging in August 2021. The rest of the sites across the country are likely to be completed over the next 18 months. Moving on to the next newsmaker, and Medilab Clinical, an Australian biotech company, is trading in the green. The company shared that it has received human ethics approval for Australian sites for the Nanobis Cancer Bone Phase 3 trial. Bellberry Limited, a well-known Australian Human Research Ethics Committee, also known as the HREC, has granted approvals for principal investigators Professor Stephen Clark at Genesis Care Sydney and Professor Phil Good of the Mater Hospital in Brisbane. Nanobis is Medlab's most advanced non-opioid pain medication, utilising Medlab's patented delivery platform, NanoCell. Nanobis is currently being readied for global Phase 3 trials involving Australia, the United Kingdom and also the United States of America. Medlab is currently tracking more than 900 Australian patients, ethical and lawfully using Nanobis for treating cancer and non-cancer pain and associated conditions. As per the Medlab release, its regulatory strategy is to meet the US Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA, for cancer bone pain by 2024, and then undertake a marketing claims expansion trial to seek secondary claims approval for cancer pain. From medicine to mining, and NRW Holdings is trading high after the company updated it would sell its major mining equipment to Boggabri Coal Operations. Boggabri Coal is part of the Idemitsu Group and can exercise options to acquire a majority of mining equipment of the company Golding Contractors, a wholly owned subsidiary of NWH, which is engaged in the maintenance of the Boggabri Coal Mine. The agreement is for the sale of 38 major mobile mining assets from Golding to Boggabri. The target completion date is by the end of July 2021. NWH will reportedly sell the equipment for $81 million, from which it will use $64 million to pay down asset financing debt. The transaction will also reduce pro forma net debt from $115 million down to $34 million. NWH CEO and Managing Director Jules Pemberton said the transaction would reduce debt and increase return on capital employed. Moving on to the next news that covers Live Verdue, an Australian plant-based food, nutraceutical and skincare company. The share price of Live Verdue has gone up more than 5% after the company provided an update on the launch, distribution and first sales of the new scientifically formulated and Therapeutic Goods Administration approved turmeric capsules called Thermojoint Plus. Like Verdure owns the rapidly growing hemp consumer brand 13 Seeds and 8 Seeds, with 100% of Tasmanian hemp as its hero ingredient. Notably, Thermojoint Plus, a highly potent turmeric supplement, was created after conducting a deep dive survey. The responses revealed significant consumer demand for a solution to the discomfort of joint pain and general whole body inflammation. Thermojoint Plus is launched after an 8-month R&D initiative, and Thermojoint Plus capsules are the first 13 Seeds product to achieve TGA approval listing. TGA approval allows the company to make specific claims around the effects of Thermojoint Plus on joint pain and inflammation. Now, the last news to be discussed in this segment covers Wesfarmers, a diversified business group which had its shares trading flat post Wesfarmers trading high after it submitted a non-binding indicative offer to the board of Australian Pharmaceutical Industries to acquire 100% of its shares. WES has offered to acquire APPI shares at $1.38 cash per share. The proposal price represents a 21% premium to APPI's last traded price on Friday. APPI's major shareholders, Washington H. Soul Pattinson & Company, the owner of 19.3% of the shares, have agreed to vote in favour of the proposal. Accordingly, SOL has granted its call option in respect of its holdings in favour of WES. APPI operates a portfolio of complementary wholesale and retail businesses in the health, wellbeing and beauty sectors. WES is well positioned to add capital and unique capabilities to support investment and also to strengthen competitive positions of APPI. The proposal is subject to the satisfaction of limited conditions, including due diligence and obtaining clearance from the ACCC. Now, before we wrap up, let's quickly touch on developments in the commodities and equity space. On Friday, US Treasury yields extended their rally while the three major US stock indices rallied to record closing highs as investors relaxed a bit from worrying over grim economic recovery impacted by the recent coronavirus pandemic, which has been affecting businesses globally. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones inched 1.3% to 34,870.16, while the broader market index, the S&P 500, was up 1.13% to 4,369.55. The tech-focused Nasdaq Composite surged 0.98% to 14,701.92. Concerns over a slow-moving economic recovery had reduced investors' risk appetite early in the last week and prompted a bond buying spree. According to data released on Friday, investors were aggressively cutting down their short bond positions through the 6th of July 2021, which also weighed in on yields. Still, the yield on 10-year Treasury notes ticked up 7.7 basis points to 1.365% on Friday. In the cryptocurrency market, Bitcoin is consolidating its range, gaining just over 1% to $33,853. Other popular cryptos such as Ether were up 1.09% and Dogecoin was up 0.8%. And looking now at commodities, on Friday, gold prices inched up towards their best week in 7 weeks, underpinned by a weaker US dollar and concerns over the outbreak of the Delta variant of the coronavirus, which could indeed hamper the global economic recovery. The most actively traded iron ore futures contract for the September month delivery on the Dalian Commodity Exchange closed 3.7% down on Friday at 1,163 yuan per tonne, as concerns over steel output controls suppressed demand for steelmaking ingredients. On Friday, LME copper gained 2.1% to $9,514 per tonne after the highest commodities consumer, China, announced that it would reduce the number of cash holdings with the banks as reserves to boost economic recovery. And lastly, on the global development front, on Friday, a rise was noted in the oil prices for a second day in response to the declining US inventories, and indications of robust Asian demand from both China and India provided further backing. At $75.55, Brent crude oil futures were up by 1.93%, while US West Texas Intermediate futures were noted at $74.56, up 2.2%. According to Reuters, a decline was seen in the US crude and gasoline stocks, while gasoline demand touched its highest since 2019. Alright then, that's all for now. Stay tuned with 𝐊𝐴𝐞 TV for more live market updates. We'll be back with more news on markets, the economy and diverse themes and sectors shortly. I'm James Preston for 𝐊𝐴𝐞 TV.